I'm going to start with something that I've seen so many times that it is deeply ingrained into my subconscious, to such an extent that watching it again today felt, even though I haven't seen it in probably at least 5 years, felt like it had never left. Like I had just watched it yesterday. And that is AMV Hell 3. So for those who don't know what that is, in the early 2000s, there was a series of AMV compilation videos called AMV Hell. Each of which was a collaborative effort between a whole bunch of different people who were making AMVs, usually comedy-focused AMVs, like just basically setting a clip to a clip, like setting some kind of audio clip to some kind of video clip in a way that would make for a funny joke. Sometimes it's, that it repurposes the scene, like recharacterizes it. Sometimes it's just that the song happens to match, or the clip from a movie, Sometimes it's more like bending the scene to fit the clip. And sometimes it's like just a pun on like something that's happening in the show or something like that. There's just a lot of different ways it can be, but they're all comedy-centric clips with rare exceptions. And the first two AMV Hell videos were relatively short. They're like 15 minutes or so. Just a small compilation of funny anime gags. But AMV Hell 3 was the motion picture, over an hour of AMV bullshit. And it came out in 2005, and I remember seeing it at the time. I don't remember how. I'm assuming it was linked on a forum, probably on Otaku Boards, the anime forum that I was heavily participant in at the time. I don't remember, though, so it was probably that. And I remember that I watched it on my incredibly shit connection. Like, I had the shittiest internet imaginable at the time that this came out. And we're talking, like, I would have to leave it open for, like hours to load up enough to be watchable. I remember one time me and my brother tried to like watch it all at once, and it's in like the most garbage quality. Like, not that it's even rendered in a particularly high quality, but again, we're talking about 2005, and I'm like piecemeal watching it. Like, we were sitting down, and every 5 seconds we would then have to wait 10 seconds or a minute, and I don't know how, but I think we watched the entire thing that way, or we stopped like at some point and let it load all night and then came back and finished it or something like that. But somehow I managed to watch it over and over again. Like, I'm sure I've seen it more than 10 times, because there's no way I could have memorized so much of it without having seen it at least 10 times. And I remember showing it to various people. I remember watching it again over the next few years, being disappointed when AMV Hell 4 came out and it wasn't nearly as good because it was all Death Note and Haruhi jokes. But, which in fairness, looking back on AMV Hell 3, there is like 50% Azumanga Daioh and like 10% Excel Saga in there, but there's also way more eclectic shit and hidden weird gems and shit in there, and I know I'd seen it countless times, and watching it again, because me and May were baked and I wanted to put on something funny but long, was really surreal, because it was simultaneously nostalgic in that I was remembering some skits that I'd totally forgotten about, but also not nostalgic because it felt like I'd watched this fucking yesterday, because there's so much stuff in AMV Hell that I make reference to all the time without even thinking about the fact that it comes from AMV Hell. And the funny thing about that is that nothing really comes from it. All of it is remixing. It's all clips from one thing set to clips from another thing. So there's nothing that's original to AMV Hell, with very few exceptions, like the Mad Lax skit, where it's just like a laxative commercial, but with the scene from Mad Lax, which is funny, but like everyone, like, it's recorded on garbage headset mics because that's what was standard at the time. And yeah, not much is original to the film, and it is considered a film. I think it has an IMDb listing. But there are so many songs that I only know because they're in AMV Hell. Banana Phone. Ring, 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 banana phone. Only know that song because it's in AMV Hell. Um, I mean, I don't even want to get started because I could be here all fucking day. So many songs that get stuck in my head for years, though. Like, I stepped out the front door like a ghost into a fog where no one notices the contrast of white on white. It's like a Counting Crow song, I think, that I used to just sing that line and the next line, which are in AMV Hell, all the time. It's the only lines I know. I've, like, never listened to the full song, you know? Like, just dozens and dozens of pop culture references that I would not know if not for this, you know? Some of which I now recognize. And that was the trippiest part of watching AMV Hell 3 again, is just, like, knowing a lot more of the sources of some of the songs, some of the jokes, you know, like recognizing a comedian's voice when I hadn't before or something like that. Just all kinds of stuff, and then recognizing anime too, like anime that I didn't know what it was at the time. You know, there's a Kodocha skit. There's like, oh, what are some more examples? Because I did know a lot. I knew a lot of it at the time, and you know, a lot of it's just shit that was popular in the anime community at the time, in the West at least. But every once in a while, I know one that I didn't know at the time was Hunter x Hunter, which is doesn't actually appear anywhere in the skits, but in the ending theme, there's extensive usage of Hunter x Hunter footage from the original anime. I knew about that though because I've rewatched just the end credits more recently. But yeah, like there's a lot. There's a lot of shit that I would not have known as a kid. And now I'm like, oh, of course. Like, and sometimes that makes me get the joke. Like, sometimes there's a clip where, like, the reason they put the song there is because it's a pun. And I had never understood that, you know. I wish I could get into more specifics, but there's so many fucking clips that, like, trying to just pick one out of this overall impression I had. But basically what it left me with is a feeling of, like, overwhelmingly realizing the, like, impact that AMV Hell 3 had on me. That, like, so many just thoughts I have on a day-to-day basis came from this fucking movie. I'm trying to think of one. Like, there's some stuff that I just quote all the time and, you know, didn't know where... a great example of a skit that I definitely do associate with AMV Hell 3, but that I always think about is one where Shinji's on the phone in episode 1 of Ava, and he's listening to, like, a call guide. This might be original to AMV Hell 3, actually. I don't know where the hell it would come from otherwise. But it's guiding him through, like, you know, if you need a hoe for the evening, press 6. If you've been woke up with a pair of sweaty balls on your forehead, press 7. But the line that always stuck with me is, if you're out of alcohol on Sunday, press 5. And, like, just today, we were driving around and we were gonna go buy champagne at a liquor store, but they were closed because it was Sunday. And I thought, if you're out of alcohol on Sunday, press 5. Like, that's how ingrained it is. Maybe that's subconsciously what made me think of AMV Hell 3 again and why we ended up watching it. I have no idea. But, like, yeah, it was surreal and nostalgic and interesting and very at home. Like, there's a lot of jokes in there that I probably would find cringeworthy if I didn't see them coming and didn't know this thing like the back of my hand. You know, it's to that extent where I can't judge it on, like, not just objective terms, but, like, I can't judge it as though I'm watching it for the first time. Like, I can recite half of this fucking thing, you know? So many bands that, like, I later got into and stuff. Like the song I Love My Computer by Bad Religion plays a major role in a Chobits clip, and it's hilarious. And I didn't find out what band did that till, like, 10 years later. Now I love that song. So, yeah, just wanted to talk about that. It was interesting and pretty cool.